Hey guys, how's it going? Come on in, sit down, stay a minute, let's talk. I like to talk, so I hope you like to listen. So the other day, I was thinking about this after a conversation I had with one of my associates. Good guy, real good guy. Young, just turned 18. Is a dad, a really good dad. His fiance is a really nice lady. They take good care of their newborn son. He works very hard, and he was talking about trying to find a place to live that was near work. They share a vehicle, and right now, he's still living with family. Him and his fiance both, and but they're looking for a place of their own, and he's frustrated because he can't really find one in their price range that's available soon. Um, in their neighborhood, and he's which is around my store, and the only place they can find in their price range is at a distance, and it's in a not so nice neighborhood, and my understanding, that's the environment he grew up in, and he wants better for his children, basically. Short, long story short. So, but he is getting impatient about it, which led me to think about patience and how the patience, the actual act of being patient for something, waiting on something, almost seems to be a lost art form with the younger generation, which I kind of blame on my generation. Because I would be of the age of parents of kids in their 20s, teens. I mean, my oldest being in his 20s, well, my top two being in their 20s now, and my youngins being in their teens and single digits. I kind of blame it on my age group to some extent, um, for not teaching patience. We've allowed our our kids to um, accept instant gratification as the norm. Um, the cell phone, for instance, or the internet. It's all everything you need to know, or could ever need to know, is right there at the snap of your fingers. And you know, instead of the only form of patience I can think of that we possibly see on a regular basis that I don't even know exactly if we taught because it just became normal is when you order something online. And even then, it depending on what you order, it could be at your house within 30 minutes. Um, but having to wait when you order something online for it to show up. When my idea of instant gratification is I know I can run right down to the hardware store or whatever and pick it up right away. I mean, it still takes longer than 30 minutes to arrive to your door, but that's my version of instant gratification. Yeah. So, because he, doesn't want to wait until something becomes available in his price range, it led me to think, well, if you just, and I told him this, if you just patient, time, well, I don't want to wait, I want to do it now. And all I could think of in my head was Veruca from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where she says, I don't care how, I want it now. Um, so I think that's something that, we should maybe start focusing on. When I was a kid, my first bout with learning how to be patient was from my dad. And I remember being so aggravated at the time, but as I got older and even now, I see what he was trying to do, and he did teach me something because it's a lesson I'll never forget. To teach me patience, he bought me a model kit, and it was a kit of a aircraft carrier that had like a bazillion steps to it. Well, I don't even remember what the aircraft carrier was now. I just remember it was gray, it was large, had a lot of parts, and the instruction manual read like a thick novel book. But he would only let me do one step a day. I was only allowed to do one step a day. That's how he taught me patience. You know, um, and I think that was probably one of the most important life lessons I learned was patience. Instant gratification and having patience isn't always a good thing. Um, if you can learn patience, you can learn how to do things right, walk away when things aren't going right. You can grow things that way. Like the onions that we started growing. Speaking of which, I got to show you this one. It's really cool. Hold on. I'm coming. I promise. This is full of water. I just filled it. But here's that onion I showed you a couple weeks back in that video. See how it's starting to grow a new onion? It's got the green on the top, roots on the bottom, and here in another week or so, it's going to get put in soil. Um, but growing that takes patience. To have that takes patience. Even like in the dating realm, that takes patience. I had quite a few girlfriends as I was growing up, and it wasn't until I decided that I wasn't going to date any old girl and, kind of wait for the right one to come along, which took a long time. I met my wife. Now we've been together 20 years. I had patience. Not that I wasn't out running around being goofy, but I wasn't going to settle on a long-term relationship until I knew there was somebody that could, match my wits and skill. And that took years, and I did it right. Now Chris is not my first wife. I have a first wife. Chris is my second wife. And my first wife is one of my dearest friends, one of Chris's dearest friends. We talk all the time, but we rushed that, and it didn't work. This time around, we practiced patience, and it worked. 20 years worth of work. So, and still going. We'll probably be married, well, until the day she dies, because I'm going to live forever. But patience, we need to learn it. We need to take a time and build that model one step at a time, so to speak. Patience will get you far in life. Children will also teach you patience, but it's better to have a firmer understanding of patience when you start having kids if you don't and you're getting older, because children will try them. They'll try your patience like there's no tomorrow. They'll at times make you take a deep breath and think and practice patience whether you like it or not. But patience is important. But the other thing I want to touch on, and I'm not sure of a solution for this one exactly, and it's based around money. This young man has a decent amount, what I consider a decent amount of money saved up, enough to pay for his apartment. Maybe not, something that is extravagant, but will help pay for rent and still have a couple months left over, he thought, but to find out, this will be their first apartment. Like I said, he's young, which just means practicing patience. If he were to furnish his apartment, deposit, and his first month's rent, and even the second month's rent, he's broke by the time that's all said and done. And that's not going extravagant. That's just buying the essentials. Which led me to thinking, how does somebody who, even at $15 an hour, well, let's just say you have a married couple or a couple that's dating that live together. You have a couple that's living together, and they each make $10 an hour, $12 an hour. Let me say $12 an hour. So that's, roughly $480 a week before taxes. We'll say $375 a week after taxes. Good guess at any rate. You're talking about $1,500 a month per person, $3,000 a month. That sounds really good It's not half bad. Uh, but let's say that couple has a child. All right. So at $3,000 a month, yeah, you would think, well, they can afford an apartment with that. And they could if that was the only bill they had to pay. But how does a young couple in today's society honestly afford to pay $1,300 a month in rent to live in a good neighborhood with good schools? Now I'm not knocking neighborhoods by any means, but unfortunately, the way our society is set up, you have lower income neighborhoods, and unfortunately, if you have kids, the schools there are crappy. I've yet to see a low income neighborhood that does have a good school. That's something that we as a society need to fix. Where your upper middle class neighborhoods tend to have better school systems, slightly safer neighborhoods. And in this case, this is where this guy wants to live, but even at that, let's say you want to live in a somewhat comfortable neighborhood that's safe, or that you perceive to be safe. You're looking at about $1,300 a month for rent. That's for a 2-bedroom because it's you, your significant other, and one child. So right now you've just wiped out half your monthly income. Well, then you need a vehicle. We'll say a decent vehicle at $300 a month for a car payment. We'll even go $200 a month. Let's get cheap. Now you're up to $1,500. So now you've spent half your income on a car and a roof over your head. But then you've got utilities. I think I briefly touched on this in another video, but you've got utilities, you've got insurance for your car, potentially insurance for your family, depending on how your insurance is set up. You've got to have fuel for your car, you've got to have groceries, and childcare. Now, me and Chris were lucky. We always had parents to help us out with childcare. My mom was retired. She helped out for a good long time with me and my brother, both when we had kids, until she passed away. And then after she passed away, we were lucky enough to have Chris's mom. And before that, when my mom couldn't watch them, Chris's mom and dad would watch them. So we always had somebody there to help. What if you don't have that? I've got a couple of young parents that I work with that don't have that luxury. So what do? Okay, well, you put them in daycare. Wow, daycare costs, $65 a day per child. I mean, it's an absolute ludicrous amount. I want to say on average it's like $500 a month to put your kid in daycare. Even if it's an after-school program, it's still expensive. Do what, hon? Yeah, $500 a month is on the cheap end. So now we're up to $2,000 a month. If at throw in utilities, insurance, and groceries, you're probably up to $1,800 a month. 19, because it's just 3 of you, and that would be eating and some bologna and stuff. Well, here I can tell you, we eat comfortably at 2 meals a day. Well, we'll go at least 1 meal a day. Because the only time we eat breakfast is, when we're all home. Well, at least a big breakfast. There's always something quick to grab, whether it's a bowl of cereal or whatever. Leftovers sometimes. Pizza's common when we have it for breakfast. But let's just say you're doing 1 to 2 meals a day. We'll say 2 meals a day. That makes it easier. I know for us as a family of 4, Grant, we cook to make leftovers. I still spend about $150 a week at the grocery store. So that right there, just for a family of 4 at $150, and that's on the low end. You ask anybody that does any kind of grocery shopping. My brother has a family of 4, and they probably spend about $250 a week, even $300 a week to feed their family. Now, the difference between the two is lifestyle, is what it comes down to. me and Chris have made a valid effort to make a lot of our own stuff. Like when we make pasta, sometimes it's from scratch. A lot of the stuff we make is from scratch. Um, but the only thing we do, well, most of our pastas, like the funny shaped pastas, like tomorrow, I'm making for Let's Cook Together on Wednesday. I'm doing stuffed shells. I don't make my own shells. Uh, so I buy those. But he buys a lot of pre-made stuff, you know, and with good reason. I've hit that age and mindset where I want to spend more time in my kitchen. I want to spend more time with my family, and I have that opportunity to do so financially, where he's still working hard. Him and his wife both work very hard, 60 plus hours a week. There's not a whole lot of time to prep and cook and all that. So they spend a little more at the grocery store buying prepared stuff. That's okay. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that in any situation. Um, if you don't have a family and you're a single one, you're going to buy more prepared stuff. But anyhow, I'm rambling. Um, you want to, you got to budget that in too. So realistically speaking, and I'm sure I've forgot some things that cost money, without going out at all, ever, like going out to eat, or going to see a movie, which we'll be able to do again someday, or going to a sporting event or, concert, you end up with about $200 a month to put into savings, and you better hope something doesn't break down. So, yes, you can survive at that, I guess, barely. I hope and pray nothing comes up. Oh, wait, you have a kid. You have a child. So you got to buy clothes. You got to buy diapers if they're young. You got to buy formula if they're really young, or baby food. Yeah, so you just wiped out that $200 savings you had. Forgot all about that. You might be able to save $100 a month. So if you can't save $100 a month, at making $12 an hour, 40 hours a week, working in a restaurant or whatever, $12 an hour, retail, you save $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year. Okay, that sounds like, that's not too bad. Well, here's the kicker on that. The U.S. government, excuse me a second, I gotta move my grocery list. The U.S. government has deemed that you should, now this is the financial side of it, and most, oh my God, I can't remember what they're called, finance people, will tell you that it used to be secure, you needed at least 6 months worth of finances put into a savings account. So if that's the case, you need $18,000 sitting back in your bank account in order to get, to be worry-free if something happens. Since the pandemic hit at the beginning of 2020, they're now saying up to a year. So if that's the case, you would have to have in a savings account, not using it by any stretch of the imagination and not tied up in stocks, bonds, Wall Street stuff, saving for your future and your retirement, you would need about $36,000 a year to survive. Not thrive, just survive. I think that's a little far-fetched myself. Because I'm here to tell you, I don't have that kind of money shoved into a bank account anywhere. And we don't do horrible money-wise. I mean, we're no Rockefellers by any means. But I know that if the washer breaks, I can fix it. I won't be able to pay somebody to fix it, but I can fix it. So how do we fix this problem? How do we make it so that we're not just surviving, that we're thriving, even if it's not a lot? I know it's easy. You can say, well, that's easy. You just work hard. And yeah, you can work hard. And occasionally you'll get that shining star that not only starts a company, but it grows exponentially and boom, problem solved for you. The problem is And if you're kind of a greedy snot who doesn't care about society at all, done, problem solved. You will be the next Jeff Bezos, and you move on. You don't even care about everybody else, other than you have to pay them a meager wage to be able to be successful in the long run when your company grows and you've got thousands of employees or whatever. But you dangle that carrot stick, and that's one way to do it. You can do it that way, and nobody will say different. Or you can be like a responsible person and care about your neighbor, care about the things that are happening around you in society, and money isn't always the answer. I think our government and people as a whole think that money will solve all problems, and it doesn't. Money is a quick fix. It's a Band-Aid. It is not the cure to it's not the root of the problem. That's like even with homelessness or, things like that, dumping money towards it, just endless amounts of money towards it isn't I don't think is the ultimate answer. It can be, a tool you use, but until you figure out what's causing the homelessness, and in every case it's going to be a little different, until you come to the root cause of homelessness, throwing money at it is not going to fix it. You got to fix the root cause. Any problem that comes along. I learned that with automotive. If the car won't start and it's because the battery's dead, well, and it's, not freezing cold out to kill your battery. Okay, well, what killed your battery? Because, battery, it could be age, it could be time, or was it the alternator? Or is it, not something in the system that's not letting it charge or using too much and it's draining the battery? Is a light staying on in the trunk, that you don't know about? So, that could be the symptom, but what's the root cause? We spend more time dumping money at the symptoms and not ever enough at the root cause. So until we fix that, yeah. But I would say, to get back to it, practice patience. That's important. They have the utmost importance, and it's something that you have to learn. Nobody has patience out the gate, and it's harder now with the instant gratification society we live in. And find something that's going to take patience. If you have a hobby, any hobby, you can use that. If you are a parent, you have a hobby that you want to teach your kids or something you want to teach your kids, even if something as simple as a coloring book and crayons, let them only color one page a day. Let them only color one section of that page a day. That's something cheap that can practice patience. As far as the financial thing goes, I don't really know how to solve that. But it's something that perplexes me, and I really want to bring it to attention. And you can even run that with social equality, very much so. Whether it's keeping the man down, so to speak, or whatever. But money is one of the bigger things with social inequality. I talk to Chris about this a lot. I would love to live in a Star Trek society where you don't pay for anything. It's just there. But you're required to do a job of some sort. Like you can still have a meat shop for a butcher, or a bread maker. They make bread. You go and pick it up, and because of that, they can go to your automotive shop and have their car fixed. Or something like that. But it's kind of like barter and trade, but only better, I guess. But until that utopia happens, we've got to figure out what the root cause of the inequality is that's caused this, other than greed, that's caused it to where you can't earn a fair living and live and thrive in society, instead of just survive, like I see so many young people do. Nobody should have to wait till they're almost 50 years old to start thriving. You work hard till you're 30, you thrive from 30 to 50, or we'll even say 30 to 60. And then from 60 on, you retire and you live. At least that's my thought on it. I mean, I know I personally never want to retire, but I sure as hell don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week the rest of my life. I have every intentions of eventually someday going to a part-time position somewhere at like a big box hardware store or something like that, where I only have to work a few days a week and I can spend the rest of my time in my garden, playing with the chickens, my grandkids, if I ever get any, and relaxing with my wife. Now Chris has kind of got it made. She can work 40 hours a week and not leave the house, and that's awesome. That's just awesome. She has some distinct advantages going on there, but doesn't make her job any easier. Just means she has an advantage. It opens her schedule up a little bit, things like that. But different story, different time. All right, guys. So rest of this week, like I said, tomorrow we're gonna do stuffed shells with chicken. This recipe comes from my mom, and who got it from my Aunt Patty, who got it from I have no clue where, but it's a great recipe. I grew up with it. We eat it here, not very often, but often enough. And then Thursday, I don't know what we're going to do yet. It'll be Thursday or Friday. I know for sure we're going to take a look at some of the garden, the plants I planted. They're growing by leaps and bounds. Depending on how far I get at the hardware store, we may start building kind of a miniature greenhouse. I ran into we're getting ready to put these plants into 4-inch pots, and I don't have room on the first floor or the second floor for 4-inch pots. I don't have a place to put what is essentially 200 4-inch pots. But I do have some room in the basement, and we're going to build like a miniature greenhouse to sit on my workbench to place these plants in. And we can take a look then at my new grow lights. And there was something else I got. I can't remember now what it is. Oh, and the collapsible 4-inch pots. Really cheap, but they only cost me like $15 for all 200 of them. I was like $30 for 200 of them. So anyhow, I know we got that going on. And who knows? I may find something else to rant about. I may bake something. It's hard to say. But for sure, tomorrow, chicken and stuffed shells. And Thursday, we'll take a look at things around the house, projects going on. And we'll see where it goes from there. All right? I love you guys. Tell somebody else you love them. And it'll make their day a whole lot better. I guarantee it. A lot of people need to hear that. All right. Love you. Talk to you later. Be good. Bye.